I'm 47 years old. You know, if I play a game today, you know, am I not going to play the sequel, you know, until I'm in my mid-50s? Am I not going to be able to finish the franchise if they do a trilogy? I could die at 63 years old. What's up, guys? Chris from Full Battle Jacket here, and today I'm trying out a different kind of video. I'm in the car, bought myself a little camera mount for my action camera, and you know, this is my attempt to find ways to make more frequent videos than I'm sometimes able to, because in between work and running a house, of course, you know, my hobby and doing all this YouTube stuff, you know, sometimes it can be a challenge to get, you know, more than 2 or 3 videos out a week. So I'd like to improve the cadence of and frequency of videos going up on the channel. The channel seems to be growing nicely in this little bit of time. I've been doing this for about a month now. You know, we've crossed over the 200 subscriber mark, and, you know, I really couldn't be happier. I got to thinking about, you know, games from the PS3 era. If you're an Xbox person, that's fine. You know, think of some of your favorite games from that particular generation. What was that? That would have been about the 7th generation, I believe, right, of consoles. You know, maybe that for you is like a Gears of War, or maybe that for you is Halo Reach or Halo 3, whatever tentpole game identified that generation. For me, when I look back fondly on the PS3, a couple titles that stand out for me are games like Arkham Asylum, and I believe even Arkham City kind of eked its way in there that generation, if I'm not mistaken. Could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that was PS3. But Uncharted 2, if I were to write down my top 5 favorite games from the PS3 era, Uncharted 2 would be among the creme de la creme. I still regard it highly. I'm going to challenge you to go out, after you watch this video, watch some game footage. You know, watch the trailer. You know, obviously trailers are always made up to look freaking amazing compared to the final product, but, you know, look up the Uncharted 2 game trailer and then look up some of the gameplay, and tell me that the art and the design of those games don't hold up. Look at Arkham Asylum, look at Arkham City. Tell me that the design, the graphics, the detail don't hold up, even by today's standards. You know, if you don't want to do it with Uncharted, and you want to do it with, like, you know, say like a first-party Xbox game, go ahead, go do that. I want to challenge you to just, like, go out and take a walk down memory lane and look at some old footage of those games from multiple console generations back, and tell me that they don't still look flipping gorgeous, even by today's standards. You know, before I left today to hop in the car and film this video, you know, I did a couple of Google searches because I was curious, like, you know, for using the Uncharted 2 example. You know, I wanted to see how long it took that game to develop. And that game took under 2 years to develop. Isn't that freaking nuts? 2 years to develop Uncharted 2 Among Thieves. And of the 22 months, because it was 22 months is what was listed in the Google search, of the 22 months that it took to develop that game, 6 months of that was pre-production. So unless I'm mistaken, the pre-production for the game is included in the 22-month time to develop that game. It's freaking wild. That game took 22 months to develop, including pre-production. And modern games today are taking anywhere from 5 to 7 years, maybe 4 years on the low end. But I think in this current generation, this 9th generation of consoles, even that is starting to kind of peel away. It's really closer to 5 years on the low end. Certainly 6, and then in rare cases it's over 7, and it's just gotten out of control. Not only did I look to see how long it took that game to develop, I looked at the cost to develop. Uncharted was freaking $20 million to develop that game in under 2 years. After everything that I've just said, and like I said, you know, when I suggested you go out, look at that footage, you know, tell me, or even play it. If you have the means to play it today, just sit down and play it. You know, a lot of these games still look phenomenal. Obviously, cost of living and other factors, cost more to make games and whatnot. If you were to develop that game today, you sure as shit wouldn't be spending $200 or $300 million. I guarantee it. And you'd definitely be cranking it out in less than 4 years. You know, maybe around the 3-year mark. Now, I'm not a game designer. I'm just a guy that likes to play video games. I'm having a hard time believing that if you were to put, you know, the right people in the room, good artists, storytellers, and lower the fidelity standards, let's dial it back. Games don't have to be nearly as expensive. Look at a lot of these indie games on PC that are selling like gangbusters, and you know, they're not high fidelity games. Look at the Nintendo Switch and everything it has done. And you know, we're not just talking about first party titles. You know, many third party titles and indie titles on the Nintendo Switch have gone on to make blockbuster sales. It isn't a fidelity issue that equates to positive game sales. We've kind of lost the plot on game design these days, to where like game design is just completely out of fucking control. You know, I look at the PS3 generation. You had Uncharted 1, you had Uncharted 2, you had Uncharted 3, and you had The Last of Us, all in the same generation. And then, like, how is it possible that we've now gotten to the point where these developers are lucky to poop out one game per generation, maybe 2 or 3 if the other 2 games are a remake or a remaster? It's absolutely out of control. As I get older, you know, one of the things that I think about is aging out of a franchise. Like, you know, in the example of Uncharted, I was able to fall in love with that franchise all within the same console cycle. I was able to see, aside from 4, which came out actually very early in the PS4 generation, I was able to experience the entire saga of Uncharted in the span of like what, 12 years or something like that. In 12 years, you're lucky to get 2 games anymore of a franchise. You know, I don't know what these game publishers are thinking nowadays when they greenlight projects, because, you know, they sell a game, they develop and they sell a game over several years, you know, upwards close to a decade, right? And then if they greenlight a sequel, which if it does well, they'll almost certainly do, it stands to reason that the audience that is going to buy that sequel, that second game in the franchise, is not going to be the same audience that bought the first game in the franchise. And honestly, it's just, it bothers me. It scares the crap out of me. You know, I mean, maybe it shouldn't. Maybe I'm a little too invested in this hobby, but it's something that I care about. I don't want to age out of a franchise, you know? Like, I'm 47 years old. You know, if I play a game today, you know, am I not going to play the sequel, you know, until I'm in my mid-50s? Am I not going to be able to finish the franchise if they do a trilogy? I could die at 63 years old. You know, all of this is obviously very, like, you know, pie in the sky and whatever, but it seems to be that this is the trend that the games industry has elected to take, and I think we've more or less hit a ceiling now, where something has to give. Either the entire infrastructure of console game design is going to cave in on itself like a house of cards, you know, which is very likely when you consider the cost of goods these days. Just, you know, I mean, this has always been a very expensive hobby. With the cost of living, like, we're not talking about the cost of the hobby, we're talking about the cost of living in general. Everything's more expensive than it used to be. Everything, you know? And there are more distractions. You know, back then you didn't have things like social media and TikTok. I think Netflix might have been a downloadable app on the PS3, if I'm not mistaken. I'm pretty sure it was, actually. There's more competition for people's attention these days. I hope you're more or less getting what I'm saying. You know, these are just things that I think about now and then. Let me know what you think. If you like this type of format, give the video a like, you know, help push that out into the algorithm. Leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think of the topic. Do you think game design would benefit from dialing the scope of these games back so the games come out more often, more cheaply, you know, certainly stylized? Subscribe to the channel if you're new, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.